Hello guys and welcome to the chess channel, and I'm doing a part 2 on the London system, as you might have seen earlier. And of course the London system is, if you remember from last video, if you watched it, is this sort of system with the pawns on c3, d4 and e3, the bishops on f4 and d3, the knights on f3 and d2, and this is your ideal setup. But I want to just finish off from part 1 about what else you can play with the London system, and I'm going to show you a part 2 of the London system as well. So you can play d4, d5, bishop f4, let's say standard moves, maybe bishop f5, knight f3, knight f6, pawn e3. You might play a move like pawn g6. Now you can of course go bishop d3, offering the trade. Now of course they might just trade, for example, in this position, and of course they might go pawn to c6, something like this, for example, and you go knight, let's say pawn, let's say knight to d2, for example, and they go queen to b6. Now in this position, you can just play queen to b3, because if they trade your queen, you'll have an open file for your rook like this. And this is something of what I wanted to show you, because there are sometimes some games where, let's say they might play pawn d6, and let's say play another move like c3, and there you go bishop to d6, and you slide your bishop back. They might take, and you take back, and you'll end up in a position like this with two open rook files, which will be very good for you, since of course your king is really safe, because there's literally not a lot of pieces left on the board. The bishops are off the board, the queens are off the board, and it's a particularly safe game. However, of course, now I'm going to, that of course was the end of part 1 of the London system, and now anyways I'm going to go into part 2 of the London system. It's a different style of the London system, and I want to show it to you right now. And I just want to show you, and I think this is absolutely amazing opening you should learn. So pawn d4, pawn d5, you're going to go knight to f3, let's say knight to c6, and pawn to e3. Now, in the London system, you bring a bishop out on f4, but if you forget it, maybe you have forgotten it, and I'm going to show you a variation you can play in this video. However, of course, if you don't forget it and you want to play this variation instead, you choose whatever you want to play. So they might go knight to f6, and you're going to go bishop to d3. They might go bishop to d7, you're going to go pawn to b3. Now, in this position, they might go pawn g6, and you can fianchetto your bishop, and let's say they do the same. And basically your idea is you want to go for a system like this. Now your knight is on d2. And this is the setup that you're looking for with this variation of the London system, with the bishops on b2 and d3, the pawns on b3, d4 and e3, the knights on f3 and d2. And the c-pawn is at home on its c2 square. And this variation is very good, because this bishop fianchettoed here can put on lots of pressure on the queen side. So if your opponent tries to go for a queen side attack, maybe try and win the b-pawn, try and get your rook, that's not really going to happen, because your bishop is there and the pawn is protected twice, the b3 pawn, as we can see here. So in this position, they might go castle. Now, of course, in this position, there's many moves you can play. You can play a move like knight to e5, like I showed you in part 1. Let's say they take. And now you can take back with the pawn. And knight is actually, in this position, basically trapped, which is very funny. They have to either go to knight to h5, where you can harass the knight and win it, or they're going to go to e8, where the knight's undeveloped and you can't really do anything. And now, in this position, you can start a massive attack, like pawn to h4. They might go pawn to e6 to try and get the queen out. However, you can play pawn h5. You're going to try and get in there. And of course, they don't really want to take with the pawn, because it will open up their kingside castle. So they're going to just try and do everything to try and hold on. For example, they might just go random move bishop to h8. You could shut down the position with pawn h6, lock the king in, or you can go takes, that's generally what I would do. They'd probably take with the f pawn to try and protect it. However, now you can go in for the kill. And there's many moves that you can do in this position that can help you win. You could even in this position probably sacrifice your bishop on g6. It looks crazy because if they take, well, queen g4, and you must admit this is a really scary position for black. They may be up a piece, however this is not a nice position for your opponents to play with. And as you can see here, this bishop, if the pawn ever goes off on e5, then the position's going to be even worse because this bishop here will be putting lots of pressure on the diagonal, and of course this bishop's just here in the corner, so there may be potential threats of winning pieces here. So in this position they've got a pawn to defend here on h6. Now in this position they can't really defend it with the queen, they can't defend it with the knight. They have to really defend it with the king if they really want to keep that pawn. And, you know, in this position, there's just, you know, lots of winning tactics you can play in this position. For example, you might try and go f4 and go for the kill, which is really good because then you're going to get more pawns and pieces into the attack. They might just try and hold on. They might try and play queen to e7, just trying to do something. But you can go long castle, and you can get your rook into the game. Now, of course, they might play a move like rook f7. They're just trying to do everything to hold on to the pawn, and of course make sure that the king is safe. But you can now go rook to h4, or even rook to h3. Doesn't really matter, because you're going to get your pieces into the game, and of course they're going to try and do everything to try and hold on in this position. They, of course, might play another random move like queen to f8. They're just trying to do everything to hold on. You get your other rook into the game. And in this position, it's not very nice. Black is a little bit, but a bit scared, really, in this position. I can imagine if you're playing this position with black, it wouldn't be very comfortable. So they, of course, might play another random move like maybe queen to g8. They're just trying to do everything to hold on. However, of course, now you can go rook to h7 check. The king is forced to move. You don't really want to lose your queen for the rook. Remember, the rook's protecting the rook. And as you can see in this position, there's just many more moves you can play. As you can see here, you can now play a move that I really like, bishop to a3 check. And now you see exactly why this bishop being ketted here can be a threat. As you can see here, you're now attacking the king from the bishop from miles away. And this king has got a lot of trouble. The king can't move anywhere. So you could block with the pawn and lose the pawn for nothing. Or you really have no choice, but you have to block. You could block with the knight and sack your knight. Or you could just move the rook here like this. And yeah, this is just not a nice position because you're basically going to be, you're going to be basically checkmated. So, of course, you could even just take the rook with check. And now the king's attacked. And funnily enough, now it is checkmate. So, just shows you how powerful this sort of chess opening London system, or this different style of London system, can really affect your opponents. There's many ways that you can win against them, but you're going to have a great attack. You're going to get all of your pieces into the game, and you're going to have lots of elo from your opponents, and you're going to get higher rating. So yeah, this is why I love playing these style of London system openings, because you're going to get a fantastic position, or you'll most likely get a good position. You're going to get all your pieces into the game. You're going to have a massive crashing, massive attack, where you're getting the pawns forward, getting the pieces into the game, sacrificing pieces to open up their king, and you're going to have a great time. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe if you did. Thank you.